For those of you just joining us, welcome. My name is Jim Frankel, and we'll be getting started soon. I see that a couple of you commented that you didn't have audio. Can you please confirm now that you can hear me? Just making sure. A simple yes in the chat box would be great. Excellent. Thank you. Again, we'll get started in another minute. Hi, Tori. Nice to see you. Thank you. Hi, Rachel. Okay, well, good afternoon. Happy Tuesday, day 2 of this madness, so the school shutdown. My name is Jim Frankel. I'm the founder and director of MusicFirst, and I'm really pleased to welcome you all to the first of many online trainings. Our plan is to run a training just like this one every single day for the next 2 weeks, so through Friday of next week as well. Because we have over, I think at this point, 300,000 brand new users and thousands of brand new teachers. There's simply no way that our small little team can train people individually. So the intent of these trainings is to get you up to speed, what you need to do, and I promise we'll do everything we can to make you as comfortable as we can as quickly as possible. All right, so we also have Tori Stroud, who is one of our customer support rock stars, as well as Rachel LaRue, who is our director of marketing, and there might be some other MusicFirst staff on there. I'm going to put away my chat box for now, just so that it gets out of the screen. And hopefully, Tori and Rachel, if you could help, what I'll do is every once in a while, I'll stop for questions. So you've been, you may already have been a MusicFirst classroom customer, or you may have just been thrown into the deep end and you're teaching online. The goals for today's training are as follows. We're going to look at the MusicFirst classroom, what the heck it is, what you can do with it. We're going to talk about your classes. Now, your classes should have already been set up for you by Brad Smith and our support team. I'm going to show you what to do once you're in that class and how to get your students logged in. It's probably the most common question we're getting right now, so I'll make sure I show you the different methods you can use. And then we're going to talk about creating tasks. And that's pretty much all we're going to do today. I will pause for questions every once in a while. We'll try to get those answered. And if we get through these things quickly enough, then I could add other things as well. Tori or Rachel, you can text me on my phone if you need me to stop, all right? Or you need me, hey, there's a question you really need to answer. If you wouldn't mind doing that just via text, because I'm not looking at the chat box. So MusicFirst is the only comprehensive learning management system for K-12 music education. One important distinction, we've been getting inundated with requests from elementary school teachers. And while the MusicFirst classroom is definitely applicable to some parts of an elementary school program, it's not kind of the little kid kind of K3, general music solution. We have another one called MusicFirst Junior for that. We're not giving that away for free. We are giving away the MusicFirst classroom. It just makes it infinitely more manageable for us. You can absolutely use the MusicFirst classroom with little kids, but you really have to think maybe there's some other options. I just wanted to say that right off the bat. So it's primarily, I would say, 3rd grade through 12th grade is what I'm going to be focusing on today. The MusicFirst Classroom differentiates from things like Google Classroom or Schoology or Canvas you might be using, in that it comes with, or at least what you're getting in the free extended demo, amazing software. So you're getting all of our software turned on, all 9 software titles. I will tell you that no one gets that. Typically, you'll get 2 or 3 titles because you pay for them. You pay extra for each software title, but we've thrown everything in to get you through these challenging times. And what's probably most important is we have tons of engaging content that's pre-made and ready to go. Pre-made courses, pre-made quizzes, assessments, tons and tons of stuff. And before any of you start getting worried about me, I said this last night as well, I have a stress cough that I've had for my whole life. So I'm fine, I'm healthy. Please forgive my cough. I know that everybody in my house, every time I cough, looks at me, and I'm sure that's the same for you. But I'm feeling great, and we'll keep moving forward. So compatibility-wise, and this is important from a training perspective, is that our platform works on every single device, no matter a Mac, a PC, Android, iOS device, tablets, as long as those devices have access to the Chrome browser. So one of the first things you might have to tell your students when you're using this is, hey kids, make sure you're using Google Chrome. So if they have a Chromebook, they don't have a choice. But if they're on a laptop, they do. So Safari won't work. It just simply doesn't do music that well. And Firefox might work, but we've built everything for Chrome. So the first thing you need to tell all your kids, make sure you're using the Chrome browser. Hopefully that makes sense. Then the one other caveat is that if your students are using iPhones or iPads, they have to download the free MusicFirst student app. And when they do that, they're going to need to know their URL when they set it up. You may not be able to see it in the screen, but when they open the app, it'll say, what is your URL? And it only needs, let's say that your high school is called Main Street High School. We probably called your URL mainstreeths.musicfirstclassroom.com. You just need to tell them what is that, the first, what I would call the prefix to .musicfirstclassroom.com. They can enter that. By the way, I am recording this, and we'll post the recording afterwards. So in case I'm going too quickly, I'll make sure there's a recording available for you. So they'll need to know their URL, then they'll need to know their username, and they'll need to know their password. And then once they've got those 3 things, they're ready to go on iOS devices. Again, iPhones, iPads. We are giving you access to 9 different software titles. I will be showing some of them. I don't have time to show all. If you weren't on the previous webinars that I did last night and on Sunday afternoon, Focus on Sound is an encyclopedia of musical instruments and a music dictionary that comes equipped with pre-made lessons that students can go through self-paced, as well as hundreds and hundreds of pre-made quizzes, which are great because you can assign them one of those pre-made quizzes, they can do it, and it auto-grades them. So you really don't have to do very much work, and you've got hundreds and hundreds of quizzes ready to go and Focus on Sound. OGenerator is really a great creativity tool for kids for beat making. So, hey, I just want to make beats. This is OGenerator. It's like Fruity Loops in a circle. Very, very cool. MusicFirst is our performance assessment software title. So if you've heard of Smart Music, this is our version. We think it's better. We're a little biased, but the richness of the feedback that the students get and the incredible algorithm that we use is really extraordinary. So I hope you check out MusicFirst and all that it can do. Singing, instruments, and also polyphonic, so piano and guitar. Sight Reading Factory is the single best sight reading tool there is, period. It's just fantastic. Aurelia is ear training. Tons of pre-made quizzes, so you can just give them ear training quizzes. Musician is music theory software. Again, pre-made lessons and quizzes. No Flight Learn, you should have all, at this point, heard of No Flight. No Flight is the best online notation program, bar none. Soundtrap is an extremely popular version of GarageBand, but lives online, if you will. It's great for all grade levels, and affords kids the ability to collaborate. So kind of like Google Documents for GarageBand. It's really cool. And Soundation. Soundation is also like GarageBand, but the main difference between Soundtrap and Soundation does not work on iOS devices. So a lot of teachers who might have students with iOS devices, they use Soundtrap instead. But if your kids are all using Chromebooks, Soundation is fine for them to use. And just let them know, hey, you can't use your iPhone for this. If you live in that kind of neighborhood. A lot of neighborhoods around the country, the kids aren't using iPhones. So that's the software that's available. And we do things really innovatively, excuse me. First is you can give kids a generic task, and I'll show you how to do that. What a generic task means, hey kid, go to this software and do this and turn it in. Really simple. Next is a specific task where you point to the exact thing you want them to do. So I'll take Sight Reading Factory. In Sight Reading Factory, you can make a generic task that says to the kids, hey, go to Sight Reading Factory and choose level 3 F major 4/4. And the kids do all that work for you, and then they submit the work. So less work for you. Specific tasks, you go into Sight Reading Factory and you choose the level, the key signature, the time signature. A template task is you're actually creating something for the students to, let's say, perform along with. So you can upload a backing track to a program like Soundtrap, and the students can record themselves over that backing track. So that requires work on your side, and that's a template task. Again, I will show you how to do all three of these, and the best is free play. The kids are going to have a lot of free time over the next 2 weeks to 2 months, however long this thing lasts. So the access to that software for the kids is really special, and I guarantee you some of them will find those titles on their own, play around, and surprise you with their creations. So before we take a look, I'm going to look up in the chat box and see if there's anything that I can answer so far. Leslie, yes, Soundation does work on a Chrome browser. It works on any device. So yes, it works on a Mac. Let's see. There's a lot of questions here. So I'm probably just going to keep it to my support team. And now I see some of my sales folks on there too. I'll leave that to you. So we're going to exit out of this little keynote presentation and go into the actual classroom. So I'll log out just so you can see what it looks like. This is our classroom. You should have been supplied with a username and password. So I'm going to log in. I will tell you right now that I'm logging in as an administrator, and I know that for the vast majority of you who've received free extended demo accounts, you will be logging in as a teacher. So there's some buttons here that you won't see, so don't be confused by that. So I use this one called Training Class. So in our email communications with you back and forth, you had to set up, you had to tell us what classes and how many students were in each. So I'm using this Training Class as an example. And I actually am using usernames that were just created about 10 minutes before this class. So when you get to your class, the first thing you're going to want to do is, how do I get my students in here? Obviously, how do you get your students? Well, the good news is the students are already in here. So let me show you where that is. I'm in my class. Again, I'll go to the main dashboard. You will likely see only the, well, you should only see the class names that you supplied us with. Right? Hopefully that makes sense. If you submitted like 3 class names, you should see 3 classes there. So I'm choosing the training class for today's training. Once I'm in there, I've got all these buttons. What the heck does all this stuff do? So just quickly, on the top is where you access all your software. It's all single sign-on. You just click on it and it signs you in. There's a resources tab with some fantastic resources that I may get to a little bit later in the training. These are all great tools that you can use with your kids. Content. There's our content library, which is gigantic. Make sure you go into the content library, click on MusicFirst Library, and then choose what subject you teach. So if you're a general music teacher, click on the general music category. We have 4 different types of content: courses, units, lessons, and assessments. 556 lesson plans in there for general music. But let's go to courses. So, hey, look at this. There's an intro to pop music course, intro to jazz, musical styles, middle school music technology. There's tons of stuff in here. So make sure you look through some of that, after you get up and running this week, in kind of desperate mode. When you have a little time, go into the content library and look around. There's a lot of stuff in there. But I'm going to go back to the class, the training class, to show you where your students live, because that's how I started. Across the top, you have class overview. That is your syllabus page. So there's nothing there yet because we haven't made anything. Your discussions tab. We haven't made any discussions yet, so there's nothing there. Our grade book. There's nothing in our grade book, but all of my students are there. Wow, look at that. A whole bunch of students are already there in my grade book, but there are no assignments yet. Don't worry about that. Class calendar is this is basically my plan book, which you will, I think, love. It is a drag and drop plan book. But here is the most important thing, is in the student management tab, there's a button that says students. Click on that. And here is where you will find all of the student accounts that you requested from us. So here is, I believe we have 84 students signed up for this class. And this is a real high school, Green Run High School. None of them have names. None of them have usernames. But first name, last name. Right now, their username is there, and they do not have a password. I am not 100% sure what the standard password has been set up with. If anybody from my team knows, that would be great, because that's very important, what that standard password is. Hopefully it's just something like music. Yes, they can change, they cannot change their usernames, but they can put in their first name and their last name. So they can change their first name, last name. All right, so Teach Music 2020, Jason's is 2020. We'll see what it is mine, because I'm on a different demo site, so this should be fun. Anyway, you should have also received the CSV file, right? My opinion on the best way to get your kids up and running with their usernames and passwords is simply to send out that Excel spreadsheet to all of your students. Have them find their name or and claim one of those usernames, and then put in all their information. I'll get that to you in a minute. So let's say that Green Run High School 01 is the username that my teacher gave me. So, by the way, the long and short of it is you must give each one of your students their own discrete username, okay? So let's say that you're starting with Sally on, AHN, and you give her Green Run High School 001. So you're going to have to do that. That's the one negative to our free extended demo to get. We have hundreds of thousands of people we're signing up. That's the work you're going to have to do. Is say, hey Sally, here's your username, here's your password, and then the student will go log in. So let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to log out of this site and go to, I think it was Green Run High School. Let me just see what the number was, 001. And I'm going to try music. Let's see if that works. Nope. Let's try another one. Green Run High School 001. Again, I'm using Music 2020. I'm crossing my fingers, folks, because I forgot to get what password. Oh, there it is. Good. So that one worked. So again, to do that again, make sure you understand it. All right, here we go. You are going to have to assign those usernames on your own. Tom, the answer is absolutely. It's COPPA and FERPA compliant, definitely, and it's Connecticut 189 compliant. Well, I see I'm going to get rid of the chat box because I'll just get bogged down in answering those. So the responsibility that you have, unfortunately, because we don't have the bandwidth, is to assign each student with their own unique username. Hopefully that makes sense. One way to do it is make the CSV file and just put their first and last name so they can find their name, find their username, find their password, and log in on their own. That is the easiest way to do it. The only other way is for you to painstakingly add them one at a time. So we bulk uploaded the CSV file that we sent you. It's already done for you. But you can either individually email the students their username and password, or you can bulk email all the students with a CSV file, and you've done the work. You've put in their first name, their last name, and so they can go and find that and then log in. So this is what it looks like when I come in as a student. I used the Green Run High School 001. When I click on my name, when I'm a kid, I can click on there. I can go in and change my name. So I'm going to put my name, Jim Frankel. I can update my own password. So I'm going to make my own password, and I'm going to click Save Changes. What's great about this is that when students then start handing in work to you, you'll know exactly who it is. So step one, send the usernames to your students. Again, either individually, one at a time via email, or create a CSV file and bulk send that CSV file to all your students. Step two, once the students go in, make sure they click on their username right at the top right-hand corner and put in their real first name, their real last name. They don't have to change their password. If they don't touch that, it'll just stay at the one it was. Then I'm going to click Save Changes. I come back in. I click on my little home button. And right now I'm in my training class and I have currently no work to do. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to review one last time. Sometimes we adults need to hear a thing numerous times. When you first log into your, with the login information you were provided by our support team, you should see all the classes that you requested. To find your students, click on the class, click on Student Management, click on Students. Here you will see all of the usernames that we have provided, right? Easiest way to do that is open up that CSV file that we sent you, and for last name, put the kid's real last name, their real first name, and just go right through that, and then send that CSV file to all of your students in that class in one email, and then have them register, have them go in, log in, right? So they log in. As soon as they log in, they click their username, they change their first name, they change their last name. Right, so I've reinforced that a few times, trying to be a good teacher. Let me see. So someone said I didn't get a CSV file. It could be M. Schneider. I tried Music 2020. That's what worked for me. Yes, you can reset their passwords. There's no email communication. If a kid forgets his password, he's going to have to get, or she's going to have to get in touch with you. If you haven't received your login credentials, you just have to be patient. Right now, we're at a 72-hour turnaround. We are trying our very best to keep up with the, I'm sure you can all imagine, with 38 states now closed, it's way more than we ever thought we would get. So we're doing our very best, and you should hear from us soon. Thanks, Corey. I appreciate your patience. Right, so that's how you get your students in. I'm hoping that that is clear. Again, I will post this video so you can watch it again in Technicolor. All right, so now I'm in my class. Once students start logging in, you'll see it. You'll see that they start logging in. If you go to your student list again, you should see that the kids, when they've logged in, it'll show you the last time they accessed it was on St. Patrick's Day, and they changed their name, right? So if you see a kid where a username that says never logged in, that means the kid did not successfully log in ever. So either they got their username or their password or both wrong. So what you might do is find, it should be, once you send this out, kids are going to be really quick, hopefully, signing in. You should see all this kind of blather here, first name, last name with numbers, disappear. And then it will be their real first names and last names. But again, the hardest part is you filling in student first name, last name next to the usernames, and then submitting that CSV or sending that CS file to them. Good, I've said it, I sound like a broken record, so I'll move on now. Next thing we want to do is start assigning kids some work. We want them to do stuff in here. So let me show you how to do that. First of all, there are two ways. We have the Create menu on the left-hand side. It's the plus Create menu. The easiest possible thing to do is to create a task. So let's start with that. By the way, there's another area. You can go over here, Create Task, and then click Create Task from here as well. So there's two ways to do it. Once I go into Create Task, I'm in my Create a Task window. It says, what class would you like to do this with? As long as you see this blue header up here, it should autofill that in. If for some reason you are at the main page and you weren't in a class and you created a task, this would be blank. So you have to make sure that it's associated with the class that the kids are in. That should be obvious. Right now, there is no unit of study. We haven't done anything. It's a brand new class. But what's the name of this assignment? So this is going to be a simple kind of onboarding assignment for my kids, saying, record yourself saying hello. That's literally it. That is the expectation. I just want my students to make an audio recording and submit it to me. Then this is what we're going to go over today. What types of tasks are there? Well, if you look through, there's one called record audio. So I'm going to click record audio. And I'm going to say for your first assignment, so the description is exactly what the kids will see. For your first assignment, record yourself saying hello, and then submit that recording. Good luck. Okay? When is this assignment due? Right? So this is going to be due by Friday. Visible to students. If I uncheck it, they can't see it. So this is a great way to front load tasks. So you can make, if you have an extra, if you're sitting around right now going, all right, I have access, but I haven't started this yet, you can make a bunch of tasks for your students, or just make one and see how it goes. If you uncheck assign to all in class, you can assign them to specific students or exclude them. You can also create groups in the student management tab. There's a thing called groups. You can click on groups and put like all of your sopranos, your altos, your tenors, your basses together. Really easy to do that. But for now, this is all of my students. I'm going to have them do it. On the demo sites, you'll have different standards available to you. To be honest, I would just skip these for now. But let us know if there's a specific state standards that you don't have, but it might be some time before we enable them, just to let you know. I'm going to add this to my grade book and make it worth 10 points. Right? If I wanted to, I can add a grading rubric and put all the different criteria and how to achieve those criteria and how much those points are worth. And I can have as many topics as I want in the rubric. But for time's sake, I'm not going to use a rubric on this one. I'm just going to give them 10 points. And do I want to display the description? Well, there's nothing to display, so I think I'm good. And so I finally, hopefully you can see this, there's a button here that says create task. I click on that. And there you go. It says, record yourself saying hello. Now, just quickly, if you are a cut time customer, you can share it. You just click that button, and you'll have to go through the process to connect it to your cut time account. If you use Google Classroom, you can actually share this assignment right in your Google Classroom. Right? So I can click on Google Classroom, choose the class that I want, my concert choir, and then click share. I'm not going to do that for now, because I'm not using Google Classroom. And I can also share this assignment on Remind. If I click that button, I just have to go through the authentication process to connect my MusicFirst account to my Remind account. Right? Now, the one last thing I'll show you, well, in this case, they're just going to be saying hello. So we'll just do that. I won't say anything. What I'm going to do now is show you what it looks like from a kid's perspective. I'm going to refresh the page. And look at that. It says record yourself saying hello. So I click it. My teacher has given me some instructions. It says for your first assignment, record yourself saying hello and then submit that recording. Good luck. Now, I can choose to add a metronome. I can add a count in if I want. I can change the metronome marking. But my teacher only said, say hello. So I'm going to click start recording. Hello, this is Jim Frankel. Right? What a beautiful recording. I'm going to click play. Hello, this is Jim Frankel. If I'm happy with that recording, I click submit. If I think it was terrible, I hit discard. Discard erases it completely. So, make sure the kids, if it's good enough, they click submit. So in this case, I'm pretty happy with it. Click submit. That's all the kids need to do. I logged in. It said record yourself saying hello. I clicked the red record button. I was happy with it. I clicked submit. Now look what this teacher sees. When I refresh the page, and that's how the internet works with these kind of things, you have to refresh the page to see stuff. Let me scroll down. What student number? That's funny. I think it was 01. There it is. Jim Frankel submitted a recording on St. Patrick's Day at 2:27 p.m. I click on the recording and watch this. It pops up directly in that grade book. I didn't have to download anything. I didn't have to open up iTunes. Just click play. Hello, this is Jim Frankel. And if I think that's great, which obviously it is, I'm going to give them a 10 out of 10. If I think it was terrible, I might click clear submission and it will reassign it to the student. I can also add a comment that says that was terrible or that was great, you're amazing. So I can click on the add comment, you are amazing. Or I could do something, hello, add comment, right? So the first type of task, just to review, when I go back to my class, there's nothing here because there's nothing for me to grade yet. If I go to my class overview, that's where I see the assignments that I've made. The main class dashboard is only stuff that you have to grade, recent activity, right? So you can see that I've done some things here, and your upcoming calendar. But class overview is where all of your assignments live, and I can see that 1 student out of 84 has submitted it. So I'm going to pause for a moment, open up the chat window, and see if there are any questions. Yes, you can, Chris. We don't have the ability to add all of your students, unfortunately, but you can use MusicFirst Junior and create content using it. So Sally, you can get the standards chosen. I would suggest the national standards. I think you're in California. I think that's the Sally O'Neill I know. We'll do the vocal exercises in Practice First in a minute. So Leslie, what it would look like in Google Classroom is there would be something in the stream that would say, record yourself saying hello. The student clicks that assignment in the stream, and it will bring them to a login page in MusicFirst, and it will ask them, do you want to connect your Google Classroom account to your MusicFirst account? Once they put in their login information to MusicFirst, it's single sign-on. So they will go into Google, that'll actually launch MusicFirst Classroom, they'll do the recording, they'll hit submit, and then you, using Google Classroom on your end, will see marked as done for that student, which is really helpful, hopefully. All right. I'm not sure about that, V. Lynn. I'd have to see what you're talking about. All right, I'm going to close the chat window and make a new task now. I'm going to click Create Task again. This time I'm going to make a sing this scale. Okay, this is going to be a MusicFirst software task. When I have that selected, it shows you all the different softwares that are available. So I'm choosing Practice First, which is our automated performance assessment. And I'm going to say sing the assigned scale and submit if you get more than an 80%. Okay, I don't want them to get 100. I just want them to practice a little bit. As soon as they get over 80, I'm happy they can hand it in. When is this due? I'll make this also due on Friday. I'll make it visible to all my students. For those of you concerned about the national standards or any type of standards, I'll open up the core art standards, go to perform, and say that this is going to be, let's do those 2. That's the standards I'm addressing. I am going to add this to my gradebook. Anytime you use software, you're going to want to make it out of 100 because that's what software typically grades on a scale of 0 to 100. So 100 is probably the best and easiest thing to do. So I click Create Task, and this is the most important thing. I want to make sure that everybody hears this. Anytime you create a software task on our platform, you actually have to do what we call a breadcrumb trail to that software. Because right now, it's in MusicFirst Classroom, but Practice First has no idea what scale you're talking about, all right? So anytime you make a software task, over on the right-hand side, you actually have to open up that software and go find what you want them to do. So this says sing this scale. I'm going to open it in Practice First. If it was Sight Reading Factory, No Flight, it would say the same thing, open in. And what I need to do now is go and find that scale that I want my students to sing. Let's do this. I'm going to reset my filter. This is Practice First, just in case you didn't see it before. I'm going to go to voice. So I'm navigating through the stuff that's here. For now, I'm just going to pick, let's do What should I do? I'm going to choose TMEA High School All-State Sight Singing. Obviously, you can look for a scale, but I'm just showing you how this works. So rather than wasting time looking for a scale, I'm going to say High School Level 1, Exercise 1. I click on it. I can make sure this looks, I like it when it looks like pages. And if I look at this and go, yeah, that's definitely something my student could do, assign to student. Right? So I had to open it and practice first. I had to navigate through, again, this is for a specific task. I had to navigate through to the exact piece of content I wanted them to do, and then click assign to student. A couple of quick things once you do that assign to student. There are advanced options. Don't just forget about those. If you click on that, this says, can I let my student choose any part? Sure, why not? Score goal, that's what I talked about, an 80%. You can change that to a 70, to a 90, to 100. What that means is if the student scores less than an 80, the score color will be yellow and will indicate you don't really want them to hand that in. If it's an 80 or higher, it will be green, which tells the kid, yep, you're able to hand that in. The grading rigor, easy, medium, or hard. If you're teaching elementary, upper elementary, definitely go with easy. If you're teaching 6th grade, you might choose between easy, medium. Medium is definitely good for middle school up to 9th grade. And then hard, you really have to, it's really about the student's playing ability. So you can have struggling 10th graders that might need it on easy, but it's all up to you. For now, I'm keeping it at medium. Tempo goal means, do you want them to play it at the assigned tempo? If you turn that off, they can slow it down as much as they want. Playing mode, I'm gonna have my students play with the metronome. I want the metronome to be clicking while they're being assessed. Then regular, what special type? You can do sight reading. What sight reading does is disables the play button, so they can't hear it before they sing it. Memorization, the minute you click record, the music disappears. The kids have to sing it from memory. It's kind of cool. For now, I'm keeping it on regular. You may not be able to see this button, but this says OK or save. And it is now attached. Okay, so that is practice first. Now I'm going to show you what the kid sees. When I go into my training class, ooh, sing this scale. I click on it. I'm the student. Click on sing this scale. Sing the assigned scale and submit if you get more than 80%. Open and practice first, just like you had to do. I click it, and it will take me directly to that example. There it is. I choose the part. By the way, there's no record button because you can't sing 2 voices at once. So I choose my part, low voice. Now the record button appears, and I'm going to record myself. Excuse my singing in advance. Gives me my starting tone. Do, re, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, re, mi, fa, so, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Now you'll notice that I made a few mistakes, right? When the student is done, it says, good job, I got over the threshold, but I might try doing more of it. It says I played 98% of it. You know why? Because I sped up so much at the end. My pitch score was an 86, my rhythm score was a 92. We pride ourselves in this level of feedback, but watch this. If I click X, I can see it. Now, I often call this the psychedelic slug trail. This is the most feedback you'll ever see on a computer program for performance. Green means it's fine, okay? Yellow means something happened, so I got sharp here. And as I went on singing this E natural, I got sharper. Then I was okay. Then I got sharp. Then I was okay. Little sharp. I was too short here. I didn't sing it for the entire, oh, wow, right? I was so flat, if you remember. I almost sang an E flat. And here I sang a D flat or C sharp, and I cut off early, right? I did really well here. I was very happy. This, I sang an A flat or a G sharp, right? So it's given us lots of feedback. And then you see how the line goes up here? That basically is telling me that my tempo sped up. Now I can hear it. Just press the play button. Do, re, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, fa. It's wonderful to hear yourself singing and sound like Kermit the Frog. If I'm happy with this, which to be quite honest, I'm not going to do any better. Well, I could, but for now, I'm going to submit it to the teacher. If I'm not, I can record it again. I'm going to click Submit to Teacher. You didn't play everything. To reflect this, your score will be reduced to an 87. You're still sure? Yep, I'm fine. Because the teacher only said get an 80. Happy with that. So let me show you this. There's a generic task, which I mentioned right at the top, and this is something that MusicFirst does better than anything else. I'm going to say play Stars and Stripes forever. Okay? Oops. Be helpful if I click the Shift key. This is going to be a MusicFirst assignment, and I'm going to say choose your part, then play your best. All right? Again, I only have to make one task for my entire ensemble, which is nice. So this is a band example. When is this due? It's going to be due by next Friday. I could tag it to the standards. I'm not going to right now. Make it worth 100 points. And I'm going to click Create Task. Okay? You remember that the most important thing is I now have to open it in MusicFirst. Okay? What I can do is click Create Generic Assignment. Create Generic Assignment. If I do that, it will immediately, it'll be done. I'm realizing now that the piece I picked is actually in what we call a shared library, so I don't know if the kids will be able to see that. But if you click Create Generic Assignment, for example, we've got a bunch of method books, we've got a whole bunch of content in the available folder. The students will be able to see anything in that available folder if you click Create Generic Assignment. So I'm going to do that anyway, just to show you what it looks like. All I did was hit one button and I'm done. Now let's see what the kid sees. So it says Play Stars and Stripes. Again, I'm putting a caveat. I don't think it is in our available folder. So I'm going to open it in MusicFirst. It is not available. It's only the available folder that the kids can see, just so you're aware. So I just happened to, because I'm going so quick and kind of flying by the seat of my pants, I just picked something random. So instead, I'm going to choose voice. And I'm going to sing, I'm up in Vermont at the moment. I'm going to sing some sight reading for Vermont. That's great. So I'm going to pick this. I'm going to record it. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm not going to do very well on that because that's way out of my range. But you get the idea. If I went back, I can choose the generic assignment. The reason I showed it to you is that I can pick any content that's available to me. Anything in here, the students can choose. Right? So it's just bad. I just picked the wrong piece. So forgive me on that one. There's a lot of great things in here. So let's see, short pieces for band, Amazing Grace, right? I could have done that, or the Old Hundredth. Anyway, I'm going to go back into the teacher account now. I'm going to open up the chat window to see if there are any questions. So yes, they can submit late. It shows that they submit late. But once you assign a grade to any of the kids, once you start grading them, they won't be able to submit. Tori, that's correct, right? They can submit late as much as you want, but once you start grading it, so once you give them a grade, they can't submit. Thank you. Right, when assessing the standard, we held to 1 to 100. You can make whatever grading system you want. And before I shut the webinar, I'll make sure that I show you where all that information is. So you can make it worth 1 point. It's pretty easy to do. You can make it worth, you can make it a letter grade, any kind of grading system you want. It's very, very flexible. What about students joining the class late? That's a good question, Tom. If students join a class late, will you have to reassign it, or will they get, I believe they see the old assignments as long as it's not past the due date. So the one thing you might do is just extend the due date rather than reassign. All right, so let me do this because there's so many individual questions that aren't necessarily to do with what I showed. If you're freaking out and go, how do I do this? Fret thee not. On our platform, all the way over here to the right is a question mark button. Click it. There's a user guide. This user guide has been painstakingly created by our support team. Every single question you have is already answered here. So the user guide is really, really helpful. You just put in a search. Somebody said rubric. So I click rubric, and there, how to create a rubric, right? How to add a gradebook item and how to make a rubric. So in the other side of the user guide is tutorials. I click on tutorials. These are all short videos. Let me see if I have rubric here. There it is, how to add a rubric. I click on rubrics. Here's a video made by the one and only Juliana. I click it. I can go through it.
Start, then click Use Grading Rubric instead of Grading Description.
So please, 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 before you get it, we're going to be inundated with so many support requests. The first thing that we ask you to do is click on this little question mark and see if you can find the answer on your own. And we almost guarantee that you can, right? So I know that it's a new system and you're not getting a full PD day on it yet. That's the answer for you, is that question mark tab. Right, so I'm going to dive back in and show you some other types of tasks that you can create. All right, let's do this. I'm going to go and find a Focus on Sound quiz. So I'm going to put brass quiz. I know that in Focus on Sound, there's lots of quizzes. So I'm going to find a brass quiz. And because it's Focus on Sound software, I'm going to choose it from task type is software, Focus on Sound. And I'm going to say complete this quiz about brass instruments. Okay. When is this due? Let's make it due next 2 weeks from today. I'll tag it to the standards. So in this case, it's going to be responding. And maybe, and connecting. Why not? I'm going to add it to the gradebook. And because it's a software quiz, I'm going to make it worth 100 points. And I'm going to click Create Task. This is a specific task. Means I now have to open up Focus on Sound and find the quiz that I want them to do. So I click Open in Focus on Sound. When it says, how would you like to view this task? Definitely not in presentation mode. We need edit mode because we have to go find it first. So I'm going to go to tests. I'm in Focus on Sound now. Right up here it says tests. This is where all the tests live. And there's brass, so I click on brass. So what brass test do I have available? All brass instruments or specific, the tuba. Oh my goodness, what an amazing instrument. I'm a tuba player myself, but I'll pick brass. And it'll say, well, what do you want the students to do? I'm going to have my students do a level 1 brass quiz. Once I select level 1, it actually launches the quiz. Okay. Now, like in Practice First, where there was an attach button, in Focus on Sound, that attach button is right up here in the upper right-hand corner. It says attach. I want to attach this quiz to the task I just made. So I click attach. Are you sure that you want to attach this page to the MusicFirst online classroom task brass quiz? Yes, that's exactly what I want to do. Thank you. You've successfully attached it. Great. Now watch what happens when I go in as a student. This poor kid, brass quiz. I click it. Complete this quiz about brass instruments. Open and Focus on Sound. I'm actually going to take the quiz for you. By the way, I did zero work other than finding the quiz. I didn't have to make the questions. So, identify the instrument, press play. Hey, I believe that's a trumpet. Next. Tuba. Next. Ooh, horn. So you'll see it's a variety of different questions. Trombone. All right, next. So I'm just going to quickly go through this because it's a 20-question quiz. I'm going to get this wrong. I'm going to call this a trumpet. Oh dear, I got that one wrong. Next. The only brass instrument with a slide instead of valves. Tuba, hooray. Identify the instrument, French horn, or horn and F. What instrument is this? I know it's a piccolo trumpet, but I'm going to say tuba. Oh dear, I got that wrong too. Trombone. I believe that's a trumpet last time I checked. Horn. Next. Tuba. All right, so I'm getting to the end. Horn again. Tuba. And all right, we're good. I got that one wrong. Next, last question. Trombone. Continue and save. Do you want me to save this to your classroom? Yes, I do. Save. And now watch, when I go back here to my class here, I've got nothing to grade. So you might go, well, it didn't work. Oh man, this thing stinks. Don't worry. Look at my grade book. All right, so I'm going to go find this student, which I believe I've got a lot of students here. So I'm going to scroll all the way down. There they are. Ooh, I see some other. Yep. So far, Jim Frankel is earning a B in my class. He got 100 on saying hello. He got an 87% on singing his scale, and he got an 85 on his brass quiz. If I want to see all those grades in one easy-to-see place, I just click the student's name, and that's where the portfolio is. So there's all my students' work in one place, which is kind of nice. Right. So that was a task where I found a quiz, and I found a quiz in a software title and added it. Let me show you some other types of tasks. In this one, I'm going to have my students watch a YouTube video, and I'm going to call this critique. Critique number 1, West Side Story. Okay. What do I want the student response to be? Nothing? No. File upload? Nah. I want them to type in their answer. I want them to type a critique. So I'm going to say, write a 100-word critique to this performance of the overture to West Side Story, conducted by Leonard Bernstein. All right. Now I need to go to YouTube because I'm going to find a video, and I'm going to say West Side Story overture. All right. So let's see if we can find. There he is. Symphonic dances. That's good enough for now. I find the video. I copy the name of the video. So I copy the URL. Watch how easy this is. If I want to embed that video into this question, here is what is called a WYSIWYG editor. What you see is what you get. If I scroll across here, there's one that says embed media. So I click on that, embed media. It says, what is the URL? Well, there it is. I paste in that YouTube link and I click OK. And there it is. The video's there. And write a 100-word critique. When is this due? Next Friday. I'm going to add it to the core art standards for Respond. Okay, and I'm going to add it to the grade book, and I'll make this worth 10 points. And I'm going to click Create Task. I know I'm going fast, but you'll be able to go back and watch the video. Just want to make sure I get to as many things as I can. So that's what it looks like. Here's what it looks like to the kid. Go into my class, critique West Side Story, click, watch this video, write a critique. In this performance of symphonic dances from West Side Story, the conductor, who is also the composer, did a wonderful job of conveying the spirit of the music through his body. All right, you get the idea. So I've done this wonderful critique. I click Submit Response. When I go back in to see what it looks like as a teacher and I click on my class, oh, now I do have something to grade. The reason that I have to grade that is our platform does not auto-grade student text. So I actually click on the assignment. I'm going to go find the student that did it, right? Let's see. By the way, you can sort rather than trying to find the, hey, look, nobody on this page did anything. If you click on task status, it sorts it by those who've done it, right? So there it is. Jim Frankel's the only one who's done the assignment so far. So if I click on that, it pops up right there, my critique. Oh, this is great, but it's not 100 words. So I'm going to say that's a 5 out of 10. You need to write some more. Hopefully that makes sense. Add comment. We're good to go. By the way, this is what it looks like for the kid when I'm in here. None of the grades have been posted yet. So it says that I've submitted it, but I haven't received any grades. So I want to make sure I cover that next, and then do maybe 1 or 2 other things, and we'll continue more tomorrow. So I'm going to go back to the teacher view. Excuse me. Oops. Right? And you'll see here right now that all these grades are visible, or excuse me, if I go to the grade book, all the grades are hidden. Okay? All the grades are hidden. That's by default because we want to give you time to grade stuff, especially in the online world. You don't want kids submitting and getting their grade and then telling everyone else on Snapchat, here are the answers. So wait till you get the student responses before you show the grades. So how do you show the grades? Click on the assignment itself, show grade. Click on the assignment itself in the gradebook, show grade. Assignment, show grade, assignment, show grade. That's the fastest way to do it. So now when I go back in as a student and I refresh this page, all of a sudden, I now have my grades, right? I go to my grades here, I can see what I've done. Oh boy, I'm getting a B so far. I got 100 here, I got 87, 85, 50. If the kid says, oh my goodness, why am I doing so bad? They can use our messaging system rather than email. I can click here and say, you know what? I'm going to ask a question. Can you tell me why my grade is so low? Right? So they can message you. Pretty cool. All right. I'm going back in as a teacher now. I'm going to pause for a minute to see if there catch up for questions. So yes, you can export grades to another program, Leslie. Watch this. If you go to your gradebook, there is an export button here. If I click on that, it exports all those grades into a CSV file, which I can then open and import into any other grading program. So here, I mean, I've got, where is, let's see, Jim Frankel. Oh, it's only done that first page of the gradebook. So you do have to do multi-exports. So it only exports one page at a time. I forgot to tell you that. So if I go to page 2, export, there it is, page 2, upload those. There's Jim Frankel's grades and the assignment names. So you may have to do some reformatting, Leslie, or for anyone who's interested in doing that, like if you're using PowerSchool or Infinite Campus or whatever, they may have a format that you want to use. But if you've got hundreds and hundreds of grades that you need to import into those programs, the export is the easiest way to do it. Let me see if there are other questions I can answer while I'm there. No, they cannot see each other's grade. That's right, Tori, obviously. So back to YouTube videos. At home, they shouldn't be blocked at all. So you should be fine at home. If your school blocks it, they won't be able to see it in school. Okay. So a couple more things, and then I'm going to wrap up, and we're going to do more tomorrow. I just know that the further I go, the less you'll remember. So just trust me on this one. I'm going to do create task. And this time, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to do a discussion question. Or you know what? I'll do something different. I'm going to do a to-do. And this is going to be called Invent Your Own Instrument. I wanted to show you this because it doesn't always have to be one of the software tools that we have, right? Again, I've only shown you a couple of things in software. I'll show more tomorrow. So in this case, I want the students to invent their own instrument, and I want them to upload a file. In fact, I want them to upload either a picture or a drawing of their instrument. So I'm going to say, invent your own instrument, musical instrument, using materials from around your house, and send me a picture or a drawing of the instrument. Okay, very simple. I want them to upload that file. When is this due? It's due Friday. I'm going to add this to the grade book. By the way, you can give them a month or two to do that kind of thing. Don't expect too much too quick. And I'm going to click Create Task. That's a really simple task, right? If you want the students to submit things to you, that could be anything: an audio file, a Word file, a Google, anything. They can either submit a web link or a file. Very easy to do. So what I'm going to do is show you what it looks like as a kid. This poor guy has a lot of assignments due. Invent your own instrument. So I'm going to click Submit, and I'm going to go find a picture. I'm going to choose a file. Let's see. I don't know where. What's a good picture I can find? Oh, I know. This is a Phil Lesh ticket. There we go. It was canceled. So I'm uploading a picture of my Phil Lesh ticket to a concert I never got to see due to this darn virus. So again, they can upload whatever picture they want. Hopefully that makes sense. When I go back in as a teacher, I refresh. I click on task status to see who's submitted. There it is. I click on that, and I should see the image that there it is. That's what they submitted to me. Great. Never got to see it. Too bad. Give them a grade of 100. Again, when I go to the grade book, all the grades I enter are there, right? Let's go. Let's see if I can go to my student Jim, who's really knocking it out of the park. Oh, he's up to a B+. Fabulous. By the way, in the grade book, these are all quick links directly to those files. So if you remember when I sang the scale, there's a little paper clip here. Click it, brings me directly to that assignment, right? So this student got an 87. If I listen to it, do, re, mi, and I think they've done better than an 87, I just click on the 87 and go, no, that's an 89. So you can change anything. You can change any grade that the software has given the student. Right, so with that, we're at the hour. I don't think it would be productive to do too much more, so I just want to recap what we've done today. I'm going back to the beginning. The first thing you're going to do when you open up this whole thing, once you've received your credentials, is you should see the classes that we created for you. Open the class, go to Student Management, click on Students, and then these are all the usernames, using the CSV file that we sent to you. My strong suggestion is to just enter the students' names in one at a time and send that CSV file to all your students so they can register on their own. The other option is to email them individually with the username. And that'll just take you a long time. And I'm trying to cut down on that workload. So then once you've got the students in, you have to get the students in first. That's the first thing you do, is get those students logged in, is the +sign task. And have them do one simple task, like record yourself saying hello. That is or record yourself singing this song that we were working on last week, or record yourself playing on your band instrument, your orchestra instrument, your modern band instrument. Record yourself playing, right? And that's really the basics of how to get started. What I'm going to do tomorrow, we have we're trainings every single day, is I'm going to look at some of the other software titles: Sight Reading Factory, Noteflight, maybe Aurelia. Okay, I'm going to look at the resources. So just quickly, something like Shed the Music, which is an amazing Khan Academy for music. If you go in and find a video, hey, my students are working on scales. and I found a video on major scales. Oh my goodness, here's the video. I could just copy that URL and embed this video for the students, right? So the resources tab does have a lot of stuff. Musictheory.net, maybe I'll go over that on Thursday. Any musictheory.net exercise you can customize, and the kids, they could submit their codes and their links directly to your gradebook, which saves you 2 steps, and that's a huge amount of time. And Friday I'll go over, hopefully Friday, or maybe a mix, getting some of the, let me just show you one quick. Let's just go into here to band, and let me find a little assignment that the kids might like to do. I'm going to go to a band assessment, and I'm going to give my students a trumpet fingering quiz. So if I find this quiz that I like, I can preview it, see what the questions are. Wow, somebody else did all that work for me. That's great. If I say, hey, I want to use this assessment right now, just click it. It'll say, what class do you want to use this with, Jim? I'll say training class. Okay. And so create assessment. Watch this. Dumps me right into that training class. So there you know, you're in the training class. The assignments, it's ready to go, right? I can go to scheduling, and I can say, you know what? I'm going to give my kids 10 minutes to do this. They're going to start this quiz at this specific time. Right? So let's say they're going to start it at 12 a.m. and it's going to be available until tomorrow at midnight. I'll click Save Changes. All right, so this is a quiz that I found in the library. I'm going to make it visible. Now when I go in as a student, back to my training class, there's a trumpet fingering quiz. I go in, I can start the assessment. It says once you started, you have 10 minutes. I click OK, that's fine, I can do it. And I can go in and start putting in the fingerings. Right, so hopefully that makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna open up the chat box before I shut everything down. Yes, so for Leslie, you can make groups in any class and assign it to just a specific group. Larry, I would never do something every day this week with our platform. Try one assignment, simplify it down. In all the webinars I've been doing recently, don't try to do an assignment every single day. Try for one a week. Start slow. I think you're going to get a lot of leeway because none of us have ever done this before. Yes, there are exercises for strings. I don't know, Corey, I don't have access to Genesis, so you may have to ask your IT coordinator. Katrina, yes, we will put videos together and send all those. We'll make sure that all the trainings are available. Okay, I would like to thank you all very much. I hope that you have at least one thing that you can do with your students tomorrow. If you've not received your login credentials, again, be patient. We're working through them. I've actually even employed my daughter, who's hunkered down here in Vermont with us, and she's helping. We've got all hands on deck, so we will get to you. I appreciate it. And thanks also to my staff who are answering all these questions feverishly. Really appreciate it. All right, folks, good luck. We'll be back tomorrow. I don't know what time it is. I think it's in the morning. I'm not sure. It might be 12 noon. I don't know where I am at the moment, but I'm sure you understand. So look for the schedule and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Bye.